What if I was to tell you that there are only two possible reasons as to why you aren't in the best shape of your life and actually able to recognize it? That's what this training is going to be about, and I call it the Dream Body Bottleneck. So in this training, we're going to get clear on the two things that need to be in place, some of the key, symptoms that can come from not having these two things in place, and how to actually work through them. And I'm really excited for this one because I'm also going to be sharing my brand new process and framework for actually helping you overcome these things, get into epic shape, feel great, confident in your own skin, and look in the mirror and actually be able to see that for once. And you know it's going to be a good training because I got my brand new McLaren hat on here. My super colorful hat. I'm a big F1 fan, F1 nerd. So I picked up this new hat while I was in Melbourne. So I thought, you know what? First training of 2025, we're going to wear the most colorful hat and really set the tone and the energy. So yeah, guys, let's get into the Dream Body Bottleneck. So as I said at the start, there are only two reasons as to why you aren't in the best shape of your life and actually able to recognize it. And that is a key distinction because so many people look fantastic, and I've been victim of this before too, where I've looked pretty good and I've gotten compliments, but in my mind, and when I look in the mirror, I haven't actually been able to see that. And the two reasons that this is the case is either your strategy sucks or your perception of yourself is warped as fuck, or potentially both, which is a lot of the time, a lot of the clients that I work with, they don't have the right strategy in place and their perception of themselves is completely warped for a number of different reasons, and this can create so many different problems. Right? So in this video, we're going to get into strategy, what that is, what that looks like, and how to actually optimize that. We're going to get into perception of self, and then I'm going to walk you through my brand new body image mastery framework so we can actually get this going, right? So I hope you guys can take some value from this, take some notes, settle in, and let's get stuck into this. So starting with strategy. So you need a training and nutrition strategy that not only gets you results, so your weight loss, add strength, add muscle, whatever it might be for you, but actually fits into your lifestyle and allows you to live your fucking life. Like the amount of people I see, and again, I've been victim of this and I've done this to myself too, where my strategy is so strict that it doesn't allow for any wiggle room, and it doesn't allow for seasons where our body actually isn't our focus. Like I've just spent the last few weeks traveling from Boxing Day till now. So I've been in Melbourne, I've been in Tassie, and I've been just enjoying food, right? But that hasn't been a problem for me because I've baked that into my strategy. Whereas if you fall into this all or nothing category, where it's like you have to be on track all the time, otherwise you fucked everything, and then you start to spiral and you start to beat yourself up, that isn't a good strategy. You haven't accounted for actually living your life into this strategy, right? And if you don't have the right strategy, you will see and experience things such as a lack of physical progress. So maybe you're actually doing everything right. Maybe you're training, maybe you're eating well, maybe you're following the plan that you are on, but your body isn't actually changing, right? You're not losing the weight. You don't look any different. You're not getting stronger. And it's like you're just spinning your wheels, even though technically you're following a structure, right? That can happen a lot. You get lifestyle misalignment, which is what I just said, which means it doesn't allow you to actually live. It doesn't allow you to have the freedom to make choices each and every day, depending on how you want that day to go, right? And as I said, I go through seasons where I'm really dialed in and focused on my body and changing it and doing all that kind of stuff. I also have seasons where I just want to maintain a certain level of training, eating a decent way, but I know that my weight is going to fluctuate because I'm going to be eating out more and enjoying life. Right? And if our strategy doesn't bring those two things together, then again, that's not going to be something that's going to last long term. A lack of direction. So if you flat out don't have the right strategy, you're going to feel lost all the time. You're going to feel rudderless. Like you're waking up and you see all these things that you want to change or you don't like, but you don't really know how to get there. There's no North Star. There's no deeper meaning behind why you want to actually lose weight in the first place or why you want to change your body. You just feel like you're floating through life and nothing is really changing, right? And a lack of direction can be an absolute killer because it gets to the point where you're like, well, why do I even bother to train? Why do I even bother to eat well? I'm just going to throw it all in because I'm not getting anywhere. I don't have anything to actually follow that I know is going to lead me to results. right? Unsustainability. So again, if you're on a meal plan or a training regime that just feels like it is draining you and it's not something you can stick to long term, then again, you're going to do well for a little while, probably see results, but then when it gets too much, you're going to fall off, you're not going to be able to get back on track, and then everything's going to go to shit, right? We want our strategy to fit in with our life so it can be sustainable. You're going to experience things like low energy and low motivation. So this can often come from, well, one, if you're trying to lose weight and you're on calories that are way too low, or you're eating foods that are just shit foods. Your diet is full of processed foods. If it fits your macros is such a big thing in the fitness industry. And whilst like, yeah, you can, eat whatever you want as long as you stick to your calories and lose weight and see your body change, it's like at what cost? So I'm a big believer in filling your calories and your macros with high quality food. So my diet it consists of high quality meat, fruit, dairy, eggs, sourdough, single ingredient foods that make me feel good, that nourish me, and that I can actually fit into my macros. So if you don't have that dialed in and you're just eating shit for the sake of it, then you're going to feel low energy. You're going to have periods where you're unmotivated. You're going to just feel like shit, even though your body might be changing, but it's like, as I said, at what cost? So we need to have a good quality nutrition approach within our strategy. Otherwise, we just start to feel a lot of negative side effects of that. Okay, so there's some things you might experience if your strategy isn't dialed in. But what does a good strategy actually look like? So this is sort of a few of the main things that I look for when I'm creating strategies for my clients and also for myself. So generally, training 3 to 5 times a week is a pretty obvious one. For some really busy people, maybe parents or whatever, you can get away with 2. But I generally like 3 to 5 times per week. And again, depending on the person and what their focus is, that will depend on their split. So for me at the moment, I'm on sort of a 5-day rotating schedule. So I'll do an upper body and a lower body, and then an upper B and a lower B, right? So 2 upper, 2 lower, and then I'll have a rest in there somewhere, and then I kind of repeat that, right? A lot of female clients that I work with that want to train 5 times a week will do 3 lower, 2 upper. Males will kind of be opposite, 3 upper, 2 lower. Again, we can get into the nitty gritty of splits, but training 3 to 5 times per week is a good place to start. And if you want to include runs or other forms of exercise and movement, then again, we just bake that into how many times per week you're in the gym. That's why it's all very person specific as to what is going to work best for you. So you don't get burnt out. It's not unsustainable. And so it actually fits in with other goals you have outside of just your physique, right? Having your calories and macros set correctly. So this is a pretty obvious one. Yes, if you want to lose weight, calorie deficit. If you want to gain weight, maintenance, or a very, very, very slight surplus. You don't need to go crazy with this. But again, there's more to it than that. Like, for example, if you're someone that is unable to lose weight, but when you actually track your calories, you're only eating 1,200 to 1,400 calories, right? That to me would say, okay, your metabolism has downregulated to the point where you can't actually lose weight because your body has adapted to maintain weight on really low calories. So we need to spend time actually building those calories up to reset that metabolism a little bit higher so we can actually drop weight. So everyone just thinks eat less, but sometimes your metabolism has downregulated, your body is really, really smart, right? And it is adapted down to that low amount of calories you're eating. So we need to go through a period where we kind of fix that, right? On the other hand, sometimes people just aren't tracking correctly. They're eating a lot more than they realize, and that's a little tweak as well, right? So setting your calories, and how I do this is I generally take my clients at their word, what they've been eating, what they've been doing. I have my spreadsheets and my calculations that I do as to where they need to be. I set that. We plan out their protein, carbs, and fat macros. And then we just leave it there for a couple of weeks and we see what happens. That's another thing you need to understand is don't go, changing your calories all the time if you haven't stuck to it religiously for a good couple of weeks. Right? I need my clients to eat at the calories I set for 2 weeks so we can see how their body adapts, because it's going to be a bit all over the place at the start, before we can say, yep, that's the right place to be, or nope, we need to make an adjustment because it's not moving. So you need time initially to work out if these are actually set properly. It's no good eating good for a couple of days, the scale jumps around and being, oh shit, I need to drop these calories, right? That's not how this works. We need to be a little patient here. However, once we understand that, and for me as a coach, once I see where your body changes, that makes it super easy for me to plan into the future. So it's just those first couple of weeks, we need to just see where things are at, right? Health focused approach. So I touched on this earlier, but don't fill your food with all kinds of shit, all kinds of these low calorie options and shitty protein bars and foods with ingredient lists as long as fucking novels. Like, that is one way you can do it. And if you want to do that, I'm probably not your guy. As I said, I believe in single ingredient foods. Obviously, there are going to be times where you either eat out, you eat off the plan, or you eat, foods that have more ingredients or whatever. It's like, understand we don't have to be on, extreme ends of the spectrum. But for me, 90 to 95% of my diet is single ingredient, good quality foods. I will incorporate other foods sometimes if I like it. Obviously, I will eat out. I fucking love pizza. I love having a cold beer with my mates. Like, there are times where you're going to go off this, right? We're not asking for perfection, but I think, or I see it as like a way to truly value yourself as to what goes into your body and not just doing it for the sake of losing some kilos. Like, really value and prioritize what food and liquid goes into your body. That is just, I think, a hard and fast rule to live by. And it's one that really sets a standard for you in every area of your life, right? Cardio when needed. So again, if you're on a weight loss journey, then yes, a good strategy is going to have some cardio. I personally like to add cardio from the start. I just feel like it's good mentally to get on and sweat and to like really lock into a fat loss phase. So I've just started a mini cut as of the 9th of Jan when I'm recording this, and I'm going to be doing 3 to 4 15 to 20 minute cardio sessions a week. And that's just because I choose to, right? It allows me to eat a little bit more food. And I just like, if I'm cutting, I'm like, cool, let's get on, let's sweat, let's lock into this. So again, that's just a personal thing for me. Ability to auto-regulate. So what auto-regulation is when it comes to training and nutrition is life is going to happen. You're going to have things thrown at you that we can't expect at the start because you're not going to be able to be perfect every single day. So do you have the ability to chop and change your strategy to still keep the overarching strategy, but to fit in with what's going on in life? So that might be like you're supposed to hit legs tonight, but you've had a big, busy day at work, or you're stressed and you just feel fucking drained, right? Don't go and then train. Have a rest day, move it to the next day, right? If you've, gone, your partner's planned a random date night that you hadn't factored in because it was a surprise, right? Don't not go on the date night. Go and fucking do it and then just get back on track the next day. So it's the ability to change sessions when you need to, manipulate your calories, maybe bank some calories if you've got an event on the weekend or whatever it might be, so that you can still live your life and stay on track to an extent, right? Auto-regulation is a big one. If you feel like you just like, if I miss this lower session I was supposed to do tonight, I'm a failure, right? I get frustrated, I feel guilty, and I throw the towel in. It's like, just fucking move it to tomorrow. Don't train twice tomorrow if you miss a day, right? If you get sick, you get sick. We just plan around it, right? Being able to auto-regulate your program and your strategy is super important. And then a plan for setbacks. So this kind of feeds into the perception of self thing, because setbacks are going to fucking happen. And it's actually not the setback that is the problem. It is usually the mindset that comes from the setback and the meaning we place on the setback that is the fucking problem, right? I have setbacks all the time, right? But we just get on with it, because for me, my vision and what I'm working towards hasn't changed. So why would I sit there and sulk that I've missed a cardio session or I've gone over my calories? It's like, okay, I just get back on track the next day because what I'm working towards is too important for me. And if you don't have that, then you're going to succumb to setbacks because you don't have that North Star pulling you forward, right? And this is something that I go through with my clients. I speak about the mindset of setbacks and how to actually create an inner world that doesn't let setbacks derail them, right? So you're having a plan for when you do inevitably fall off track, because it's going to fucking happen because you're not perfect and we don't need that. That is also baked into a really good strategy. Okay, so there's some of the main pieces of your training nutrition strategy to make sure that you're actually have got the structure to achieve the physical results that you want from a numbers perspective. All right, and then perception of self. So if your mind is controlled by a negative story and warps the perception you have of yourself and your progress, it won't matter how much your body changes, it will never feel good enough. And this is probably my biggest difference as a coach. Is there are fucking millions of coaches that focus on this, right? Here's your program, here's your meal plan, here's your accountability, here's your check-in, let's do it. Okay, cool. But what if my perception of self is fucked, right? And just some examples of how this might show up if you don't have this perception: comparison. So you will scroll social media, you'll compare your body to others, and you'll feel like shit, right? You'll walk into the gym, you'll see other people lifting heavier or looking better than you. You'll make that mean something about you, and you'll just walk out because it makes you feel like you're not good enough, right? Comparison is a motherfucker, and this is all stemmed from how you actually view yourself, which is an inner world thing. Self-sabotage. So if you've been a certain way for a certain amount of time, if you've been the bigger guy, the bigger girl, if you have an identity that is just used to the body and the confidence and the way you feel in your own skin, then if you're not aware of how this actually works and how our mind works, which I'm going to go through in a second, you will unconsciously self-sabotage yourself to keep yourself the same. So for me, I suffered with body dysmorphia for 15 years, and I have gynecomastia, which is basically excess fat around chest, bit man boobs, if you want to, the common term for it. So for me, that was who I saw myself as for so long, and I'd created a world and a reality to reflect that. So it's scary to step out of that, because if I'm not the bigger guy that isn't confident in his body, that has the chest that's different to everyone else, then who am I going to be? And unconsciously, that can be a really scary thing, because our ego wants to keep us as we are. It's what I knew for so long. So there'd be times where I'd be making great progress, but I'd self-sabotage myself unconsciously because I wanted to keep myself as I was. And this is what I see so much in clients, is they yo-yo all the time, being their self-sabotage through like emotional eating, binge eating, negative self-talk, comparison, all these different things, because they're actually unconsciously keeping themselves in a version of themselves that they've known for so long, right? And they're being controlled by a core story, which I'm going to get to in a second, that is actually producing all of these results. So self-sabotage is a big one when you're doing well, and then you do something or something throws you off track and you throw the fucking towel in. All right. Fear of judgment. So especially when you're maybe not in a body that you're loving, you're not feeling great, there'll be this big fear of judgment. You think other people are looking at you, they're laughing at you. You don't want to post photos because you don't want other people to see you. The thought of a gym selfie just makes you fucking cringe, right? There's this big fear of judgment because you want to be liked. You want to fit in. As humans, that's pretty natural, right? And you're scared if you put that photo up, or you go into the gym and you wear the crop top or the singlet or whatever it might be, people are going to look at you, they're going to laugh at you, and that is going to be a hit to the ego, and you're going to feel less about yourself because of how other people are judging you, right? This is, again, a big one that I work my clients through, and getting into this unfuckwithable mindset where you're like, yeah, my body's not where I want it to, but I'm working on it, and I don't give a fuck what you think, right? We need to stop giving power away to other people's opinions and understand that we're doing something about this. You're watching this training, so you're doing something about the situation that you're in, and you should be fucking proud of that. People will always have stuff to say. There'll always be that dickhead that has something negative to say about you, about your body, make a comment, but that is a projection of their own insecurities and their own internal world that they are placing on you, because it distracts them from having to take ownership of where they're at. That's what judgment is, right? They say, you're never going to get judged by someone doing better than you, right? It's because they don't want to give their energy away to that. So we need to stop giving power away to these people that we're not even going to ask for advice in the first place. We don't actually care what they think about us, because we're doing what we need to do to make progress. So fear of judgment will come up if your perception of self is warped. A lack of confidence, so again, just like not owning your authenticity, not owning who you are, not feeling confident to have a voice, not feeling confident to wear the kind of clothes you want. It gets you in a really disempowered state if your mind is controlled by this negative story. Inability to recognize progress. So it's like you're seeing your body through warped glasses, right? It's like people will compliment you, they'll tell you you're looking great, but you can't see it. And you can't see it because your mind is not conditioned to actually seeing yourself in a positive light. Again, being controlled by this story. And this is what this whole video is about, is cool, we want you to get in great shape, but I want you to actually be able to recognize your progress and feel fucking proud of yourself for once. All right? And the last one is being controlled by social norms, others' opinions and expectations, and matrix conditioning. So the norms of the fitness industry, the body norms, this is how you're supposed to be, this is how you're supposed to think, this is what you need to do. Other people always placing their opinions on us, or we see these social expectations and we're conditioned by the way things are supposed to be, and we get caught in this fucking matrix of, I'm not good enough because I don't live up to these expectations and blah, 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 right? Breaking out of this matrix, fitness industry and the world as a whole, has been one of the best things I've ever fucking done in my life, because for me, I want a body that helps me live my best life. I want to be someone that my loved ones look up to and that I can be the best man for them, right? I'm going to think for myself and question what feels good for me, what feels right for me, the way I want to do things based on me and my fucking life, not on what I'm supposed to do, right? So again, I work with my guys on getting them out of this fucking matrix so they can open their eyes, think for their fucking selves, and stop giving their power away. Okay? So that is some of the things you experience if your perception of self is very warped. Okay, cool, Tom, but how do we actually create this better perception of self? So this is a tough one to do in a short YouTube training, but once you understand this framework, you will be halfway there. And again, I help clients implement this framework, apply it to their body, and we start to shift these things, and then over time, their perception of self starts to change absolutely rapidly. So this is how our mind works. This is everything you need to know. We have a core story, right? Core narrative that we run our lives by, which then creates beliefs, limiting beliefs about ourselves, about our world, about our progress, about our capabilities, blah, 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 which then elicits emotions and feelings. So how we actually feel when we think about those things. I just realized I have missed one here. This should be cool. That's what it should be. So we have beliefs which produce thoughts, right? So the collective of how we think throughout the day, those thoughts then elicit our feelings and emotions. I thought I was missing something there. I did this morning, so I was only halfway through my coffee. So that makes sense that I missed something. Thoughts then lead to feelings and emotions, how we feel, which then lead to actions or non-actions, which then lead to results, which then reinforce this story. So let's just say your core story, which we often get from childhood, so in our early years of like, no matter what I do, I'm not good enough, right? And maybe that's been reinforced to you by having to go above and beyond to seek to get your parents' love or to feel worthy, whatever it might be. If you've got this never good enough story, you're going to create limiting beliefs around not being good enough, right? No matter what I do, I'm not good enough. That's just the way it is, right? You're then going to have thoughts to back up these beliefs. You're then going to have negative feelings. So you're going to be in a fight or flight, pessimistic state, frustration, guilt, anger, sadness, depression, anxiety, right? To reflect these thoughts. Then when it comes to taking action, you're going to be taking actions from a really negative place. So you're either not going to do the thing, or you're going to do the thing from a very unsustainable foundation, right? Which is going to produce unsustainable results, or results you can't see because, yeah, my body's changed, but I believe about myself that I'm never good enough. So this body is still not going to be good enough, which is, again, your ability to recognize progress. And then that's only going to reinforce this story, right? This is literally how our brain works. And what happens is we then take this and we create a reality around this. We filter out everything that doesn't align with this core story. So you being a confident version of yourself, you being able to stick to your strategy, to train hard, to not be worrying about judgment, to not compare, to blah, 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 blah. All these things you want, they very likely go against your core story and your limiting beliefs that are currently running your life. And if that is the case, you are going to push evidence of that away. You're going to filter it out, and you're only going to see things to reinforce this story or align with this story, right? It's called confirmation bias. So when a lot of clients come to me, the reason they can't progress, the reason they aren't consistent, the reason things are unsustainable is because being sustainable, being consistent, feeling fucking sexy and confident in your body goes against what they actually believe about themselves. And because they believe that about themselves, that is what they continue to see and ask for in their external world, which is why their perception of self is so fucked, right? Not fucked, that's a bit harsh. Is skewed, is warped, right? And again, I have lived this. I lived this for 15 years. This is why my body dysmorphia stayed around for so long, because I was living with these unresourceful, limiting beliefs about myself. And that's what I was seeing. That's the evidence that I was gathering. That's why I was never feeling good enough. Why my body didn't change to the level I wanted to, because at a action level, I wasn't doing what I needed to do because it was being dictated to by my inner world, right? You must become the person who is capable of creating, keeping, and living life in this new body as this new you, right? It's like the lottery winner that goes from flat broke to having fucking $50 million and they blow it all in 6 months because they haven't changed any of this. They've just got this money in their external world, but they don't know how to keep it and hold it. It's like the person that does the 8-week challenge, drops 5 kilos, but then doesn't know how to maintain that because they're still living by the same story, these core beliefs, the same thoughts throughout the day, the same I'm not good enough, the same comparison. So they go back to that default because over time, they then go back to taking the actions and the habits to start making sure this is true again. Right? So until you get to the root cause of your challenges, like there is a reason that you are where you are. And it is a perfect reflection of your internal world. It's exactly as it's supposed to be. As much as you don't like it consciously, it is perfect. It is absolutely perfect based on your core story. So until we change this, and again, this is my difference as a coach, because I understand this is important, strategy is important, but strategy is fucking useless without this, without aligning this framework to actually allow us to go and get the results. Okay? And yeah, so your roadblock is in one of these. That's it. You don't need to look anywhere else. It's either something's fucked with your strategy or your perception of self needs work, right? And again, we can dig into why that is the case. Everyone is different. This is very nuanced work. It's hard to pinpoint your exact problem in a YouTube video. So if you want to do that, send me a message. Like, let's have a conversation. Let's see if we can work out what your roadblock is. But this is the work, guys. Okay? Now, to wrap up here, again, like I said at the start, I've put all of this into my framework called Body Image Mastery, where we actually bring both of these things together so you can create unstoppable progress. So getting into the best shape of your life, actually recognizing it, and having a mind that is on your fucking side for once. And this then allows us to go out and live our best freedom-filled life, attract in the beautiful relationship because we now see ourselves as worthy, right? Have the opportunities to level up in our business and make more money because we are open to receiving that, because we see ourselves in a positive light. We have a body and a level of health that makes us energetic and vibrant and vital, right? And we're just, everything in our life is now aligned, and we're not just focused on the fucking scales and hyper fixated on our physique. Like, that's the fitness industry way, but I don't know about you. I want more in my life than to just see the scales change and be like, yeah, I'm happy, but inside I'm fucking dying. I'm not happy and I'm not confident, right? That's just me, right? So I call it Body Image Mastery. So we've got the inner foundation, nutrition strategy, training strategy, the new normal. So when I work with, so when we get started, obviously, we create the nutrition strategy and I program for them and we have that. Cool. But there are things I need to take people through to build this inner foundation, to make sure that their perception of self is actually going to allow us to create the results. So once we start to dial the inner foundation in, we're actually able to create some consistency with our nutrition strategy. So we've removed the roadblocks, the self-sabotage, the things that have actually been stopping you in the first place, right? Because once you start following things, progress happens. It's not actually hard, but it's always your ability to be consistent and adhere to the things you need to do that stops us. So we dial in the inner foundation, which allows us to be consistent with our nutrition strategy. This also then allows us to actually feel motivated to get in the gym and train, because now we're not bound by a comparison. We're not fearing judgment. We're not doubting ourselves and second guessing ourselves. And now we're fueled properly. We're feeling energetic. So get me in the gym. Let me train. Let me get strong as fuck, right? Let me implement the training strategy and the programming so I can get results, right? That gives us that. And then obviously we've got the foundation. We've got nutrition dialed in. We've got the training strategy going. We're actually now seeing results. Okay, sweet. Our weight is dropping. We're getting stronger. I can see my body changing in my photos. Fuck yeah, I'm getting the results, right? Now, the biggest hurdle for people is then actually maintaining this. So I call this the new normal. So we want to make sure that this version of you that's now 8 kilos lighter and looks way better, we want to make sure this is now the new normal. So it's like we're raising the floor. Like this is our floor now. This is what we want to ingrain. And as I said, not only do we want to ingrain the body, but we want to ingrain the mindset. We want to make sure that this is now where we need it to be to keep the body and to help us become a better version of ourselves. Because until we ingrain that, we're still at risk of falling backwards. Okay? So we do some work around this to make this become our new identity. This is who I am now. Sexy, strong, jacked, confident. The old me that self-sabotaged, that emotionally ate, that did all these things, an absolute fucking thing of the past. Right? When we do that, this is who you are now. And again, this adds to our new inner foundation. And then it's just a repeating cycle where we keep going, like, what's the next goal? Bang, bang, bang. We keep leveling up, and we don't fall back because our foundation rises with us. Our new normal rises with us. Our inner world rises with us. Right? This is the fucking game, guys. Most coaches, most fitness industry strategies and whatnot is nutrition strategy, training strategy, accountability, 24/7 support. Bullshit. 24/7 support is one of the biggest crocs of shit I've ever heard in my life, and it's creating complete dependence on the coach as well. That's I've gone off track there. Right, but guys, these are the 4 pillars we need to make sure we have in place. All right. So yeah, that's the Dream Body bottleneck. Again, your challenges, the problems you're experiencing lie within here. Once you identify them and get to the bottom of them, things can change so fucking fast. Like the perception of self, I've had clients change it in one call, a couple of days, a week, right? And then we can just focus on their training and nutrition strategy because they're not getting in their own way anymore, right? They've gotten out of their old negative victim way of being. They can go hard on their training, on their nutrition, see changes, and look in the mirror and send me messages like, I'm feeling confident, sexy, I've never felt like this before, I'm a completely new person, like weight is just falling off, I'm getting compliments, all these amazing things that we all want, right? So yeah, guys, if you've got any questions, drop them down below, send me a message on Instagram, whatever is easiest for you. If you want me to help pinpoint what your core problem is here that's stopping you, again, feel free to ask. But hey, if you want to jump on board and do this with me in 2025, then reach out and I can talk you through how that works, so you can experience the full power of body image mastery. All right, legends, thank you very much for tuning in. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you in the next video.